Before I begin, I would like to mention that I'm not trying to gain attention or reputation. This video is for edification and education purposes to uplift women and keeping awareness alive concerning men and to examine self to be better and do better. Thank you.
Every woman is uniquely designed in her own ways. She has her own set of beauty and intelligence. I will be discussing a poisonous problem that can deteriorate a man's love. Because there are some things, well, most things that men can tolerate, but there are some things that we can also be displeased with. And that one thing is the attitude.
No matter how beautiful your face is, if your heart isn't as beautiful as you look, it will be difficult for a man to give himself and his love towards you.
This attitude, if God were to give you the man that will adore you for the rest of your life, and yet you still carry that nasty attitude, the only thing you'll be doing is pushing that man back. You know, it's not always about perfection, although it can be a plus, but in actuality, it's about willingness. Are you willing to change?
Willingness is a beautiful thing because that means you have a desire to change. If Peter wasn't willing to go back out and cast his net when Jesus told him to, he wouldn't be a disciple. Willingness is a beautiful path to take because there's no room for procrastination, and you're not obligated to repeat the same mistakes because you'll be focused on being better and doing better. Why attitude is an important issue to most men is because when you're constantly hostile, it becomes a disadvantage to us, meaning you wouldn't be the one to trust when things in our life breaks. When we're supposed to lean on you. If we can't lean on you when we love you, we won't lean on you when we need you. Delilah is a woman that Samson had trust. Samson is a powerful man, but his heart needed a home, and Delilah was that home in which he placed his heart in.
That scripture was revealing Samson's trust and security. He laid his head on her lap. Now we all know the story, but who could blame him? He didn't know. You have to become a home to a man's heart, and trust is a key, but also attitude is a key for us to actually open up, or else we will just draw back.
Appearances can only go so far with men. It may be easy for you to get one, but with a bad attitude, you won't keep one. All I'm trying to say is, don't give a hard time to the gift that God gave you. David danced his heart out. This man literally danced out of his clothes. And his wife, Michal, was disgusted at him as she seen him from the window, looking at David as he was dancing almost nude, although he probably had some underwear on. But David blessed the Lord with his dance. Then he blessed the people, and returning home, he was blessing his family. But her bad attitude towards him, David did not like. Words between the two, they were going back and forth, and for her attitude and behavior, although she is David's wife, she didn't bear David any children. That means since that altercation, David never slept with her.
See that David's wife, she was married, but she was single. She had a man, but there was no intimacy. I kind of put myself in her shoes once, and like when you read these scriptures, you got to put yourself in that person's shoes and just really see, like, this woman disrespected her husband. David loved the Lord. You can just see how many times he wrote praise in the book of Psalms. Like, just, you don't have to count it, you can just look it up. Like, how many times he says praise. Praise is like an elevation of worship. Like, he just lift up the Lord with his praise. And That's exactly what he was doing, because David was dancing with all his might. He wasn't just dancing, but he was dancing with everything that he had. And yet, his wife disrespected him. And there are some things that is sensitive to a man's heart, his livelihood. Even though he's strong, he can also be tender on certain things. It can be his kid, it can be his relationship, his values, it can be his family. And when you decide to belittle that or devalue it or disrespect them because of what is sensitive to him, it's like you're lowering him down. You are considered disrespecting him. And that can leave you deprived of something that you need. Whatever it is, whatever that he's used to giving you and loving to give you, he can just back off, or he can just show lack of concern or lack of interest, because that's a form of disrespect. And there are some things that you have to really be sensitive of. You know, like your man is not like the guys you dated that was just trash or whatever. I'm not saying that they are trash, but you know, just the conflict and the drama. And it's obviously that it's called X because it means example of what you had and what you've been with. Not to show hate to them, but it's just a learning experience, so that you take that with you. But don't look at your man or the one you will receive as if it was someone from the past. Disrespect to a man it's like punching us in the face, but with words. And when David and his wife kind of like got into it, you know, that leave David's wife single, married but living single. Like, no intimacy. It was pretty sure he didn't even lay with her. Obviously, she didn't have no kids, so David didn't do nothing with her. It sucks, but some men can go as far as not talking to you when he feels disrespected, but still just have to be careful what you say. Be careful how you treat them.
And the men will be very angry with him. And a decree went out into all the empire about what Vashti did, and that husbands everywhere will receive proper respect from their wives. Timeline. This is the real depiction of Xerxes' image, or Ahasuerus. So Xerxes and Ahasuerus is actually the same person. It's just a different translations in certain biblical texts. In Esther chapter 1, it mentions that Xerxes reigned from the place of Susa. Susa is located in modern day Iran.
Men are motivated by a respectable lady. No, it's viewed as, she's viewed as an honorable woman. And this is how we know that we are loved. But any form of manipulation is like witchcraft, and depending on his level of wisdom and discernment, you will be replaced, because God sees it all. He will eventually see it, especially if he experienced it before. You know, gifts and entertainment, that is okay to us. That's fine. It's pleasing to us, but a woman's attitude is way better than all those things. Don't think that I'm coming to attack you. I'm not. Everything that I'm saying, especially towards the end, is going to make perfect sense. But I'm not speaking out of bitterness. I'm not speaking out of a rude heart, bad heart. No. It's just, I know there are many women that want to be married, but you can't carry the same problem as you had before to a new one. It's maybe a good reason why you have this sort of attitude, but all you're doing is putting pain on a man's heart that doesn't deserve it. And when in fact God will heal you and deliver you from those errors. And he wants the best for you. You know, like God wants the best for you. But you have to act accordingly, you know?
Powerful men have big hearts. We're strong. but we can only tolerate so much. Not even Superman can bear kryptonite for that long.
When a guy is disrespected, he feels unworthy. And what his next move is going to someone that can soothe the pain. When you watch movies, you may see a movie that, when they go to a bar, there's always a guy sitting by himself drinking his problems away. And maybe you have seen that often, but in movies it kind of show you a real depiction of how lonely men are when they can't really express themselves to their wives or to someone. So they drink their problems away. And it's like which of course obviously is not good. Men are trained to be silent, and we learned that from growing up because we look at speaking out or crying out as a form of weakness, when in fact it's totally opposite. So we harbor those that hurt in, and sometimes that could be a form of abuse when we get tired of someone, we just lash out and just beat them. Not every man, no, but for those who don't know how to work out their problems because they never received help. And that's where you come in from, because if you can't help him, then he's going to get help elsewhere, and that can be drinking poison, or it can be some sort of him gaining advantage of having an addiction problem. Well, having an addiction, that is a problem. But if you can't help him, then it's good to just get help for him and with him. That shows support. You'd be surprised at the littlest things that you do that is kind to us means a whole lot. The way that men were created, we were created in the image and likeness of God. Likeness, his character, his attributes. And I'm not saying this to be egotistical or prideful, definitely not, but men have a position to be honored. God sits on the throne, and he alone is worshipped. Men have a position to be honored, not that we are God, but that we are like God. That's where you get the word of someone saying they want a godly man, because they want someone like God. The way that you look at God is someone supreme, higher, all-knowing, all-powerful. A man is just a little, I'm going to say a little lower, but a man is lower than that. How can I say this so I won't say the wrong thing? A man is a provider, a protector, a lover. He carries a seed. Isn't God the same way? See, it makes sense, doesn't it? I try to put it in a way so you can understand it, but men are not God, but we can be godly or have a godlike character. And that's where a lot of women say they want a godly man. That is exactly what it is. Someone that is like God. Not God, but like him. A likable character of God. A protector, a guardian. He carries a seed, and you're just an incubator, 9 months. Of course you get all that.
In a boy's life, from toddler to preteen, it's about fun and games. Entertainment is our livelihood. About teenager years, it's about the coolness of life, the attraction, the appealing that brings out the best in us. Our early 20s is about planning, setting goals, living out our days of our youth. And like mid 20s, late 20s, early 30s is about the age that we're settling down, coming to know thyself.
I hear it a lot sometimes when I be doing online reading and researching. When a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing and receives favor from the Lord. It's like 2 for the price of 1. He who finds a wife finds a good thing, and then he receives favor from the Lord. So a wife is a good thing, and then he receives favor from the Lord. That's another good thing. So that's like 2 for the price of 1. I said, That's a Happy Meal right there. But you know, some men don't know this. And so some women would wait for that man to approach her. But then also there are some men that will wait for the woman to approach. So it's like maybe just making yourself available, you know, this making yourself available to one another. But we don't know everything. So it's, everybody has their own way of doing things, but that's just how the way it goes.
And if your head is constantly down, you forget what or who's in front of you trying to get your attention.
It's always a good feeling when you're receiving attention, and that can really loosen things up in your life and the way how you feel about yourself. And when it comes to the obvious reason of women like showing themselves to the world just to get the likes, just to gain the attention, because they're attractive, and what they're showing out to the world is like something that would draw any person in, especially men. But all you're doing is just showing yourself as an object, and objects don't get treated like a queen's supposed to be treated. So there's a difference between the object and the queen. You are old enough to know this, so I'm not going to go into deep further discussion about it. But when you are just showing your body out there to the world, what goes through the mind? What goes through a mind of a man is that when he sees that, he may think that, okay, yeah, she got this, she got the figure, she got the looks, she got the body, but if I hook up with that, it's a possibility that she's going to be doing the same thing when her body is supposed to be for mine and not for the world. So if you want a covering, you have to be covered. A man is a covering, but if you want the right man, you have to cover yourself. So if you want a covering, you have to be covered, because all you're doing is just exposing yourself to a world that doesn't love you. These are just a few questions that you can answer yourself. Don't be the one to watch videos and don't learn nothing from it, just seeking entertainment, but learn from things like this. Because there have been a lot of videos that have been taken down for I don't know what reason why, but learn from these videos, okay? People like us and others, we're not just teaching awareness, but it's education, it's edification, it's strengthening, it's building up, you know, and we need such things like this in the world so we can be better and also do better. Have you ever like watched a video? You click on a video that is like, okay, you want to see, it's recommended for you, and then you go directly down to the comment and just read what people are saying. You forget what you're supposed to be watching. So it's like we kind of like focus on people's opinions, but not really take in consideration of what's really being shown. You know what I'm saying? It's like going to the movies and you're just going just to watch the people, and you're forgetting the whole play. But you just, but what I'm saying is just these questions, the questionnaires that I put up there, is just answer them, because they're very vital. And I've been thinking about this for months. Like this has been like almost a 4.5, 5 month project that I've been doing. It takes time, but I'm happy that it is completed, so forth. Just take a look at this, all right? You know, that last questionnaire really had me thinking myself when I wrote them down a while ago. And I used to think like that, like, you know, are you repeating the mistakes your ancestors made? Meaning, you may not know your ancestors going back 100 or thousands of years, but Are you acting like your parents? Or are you following the footsteps of your parents? Or, you know what I'm saying? Are you copying their pattern? You know what I'm saying? Are you like mimicking their ways? Subconsciously, like maybe what your mom been through, have you been through it? Or the problems or trials that your mother or grandmother faced, it's like now you're actually doing the same thing like over and over. And it's like, yeah, I be thinking about that kind of stuff. You know, you just want to, when you when you're aware of stuff like this, which is the point of this video, when you're aware of stuff like this, you just want to break free. You know, that break that generational curse so you can be free. And that's really the point of me making this video, because it gives out a lot of awareness. And I know a lot of guys may be watching this too, and it's the same for you too, guys, if you're watching this. Even though this is for women, but there's nothing wrong learning it. But just to think on these questions and make a change, because it's never too late. It's never too late until you give up, but make an effort. Starting today, you can make an effort, and the first step is being aware. And when you are trying to be like those around you, you start to abandon the identity of your own character. It is far beyond feelings. Love is a four-letter word, and it has so much power behind it. In Hebrew, the word love is ahava. It means to give. John 3:16 and Romans chapter 5 verse 8. In John, he says, God loved the world so much that he gave his only begotten son. And in Romans, God showed his love towards us, that while we were sinners, Christ died for us. So you can connect these two together. That God showed his love, that he gave his son. You know, that his son died for us. That's love. That is that ahava love. That's that love, that action give. In the same way, husbands have that duty. Again, maybe you've heard me say this before, but I have not been married. But I look at this as maybe a way of preparation, myself and others. So I can't really speak much about it because I haven't lived it. But by me knowing what love is just a starting point. And like how this video is to you, by me teaching you awareness, such things like this is also teaching me. But that love, husbands, love your wife. It's that giving. It's that same love to give. It's an offering. And when it says, wives, submit to your husband, I'm pretty sure the enemy played games on this verse. Because you may look at submit as a form of a servant, like you a slave to your husband, and it's not like that. Actually, if you read further down, Paul wrote to the servants to obey their masters. It didn't say anything about wives in that section. It just says, wives, submit to your husband. And the word submit in various languages, it can be one yielding under a command, like military, government, children like honoring, submitting under their teacher or parents. But this sort of submit for wives to husbands really means respect. That is it. You can actually go to, 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 1. And it's like respect and obey. That just means submit. It's like your husband is like, right there, and then the wife is here. Think of it as an umbrella. All right, think of it as an umbrella. I'm gonna go also with Adam and Eve, but think about an umbrella. There's a storm outside. If you go out there, you're gonna get wet. You are. You're gonna be drenched. Your husband is that umbrella. He's built enough, powerful enough to take that. But when you're close to him, you're protected. Just get close to him, and he got you. Same thing. The way that God made Eve out of Adam was not from his head that she would be on, like she'll be authoritative over him, like she's on top of him. Not, she was not made out of Adam's feet, that Adam would just like walk over her, but on her side, that rib, because that's where she belongs. Just, you got to look at it like that. Don't look at the word submit. Don't let Satan play with you in that word submit. And this is why biblical teachings, the Holy Spirit would teach you these words. And if you want to look at it in certain languages, Greek, Hebrew, knowing what these words mean, you will get different translations and different meanings and terminologies of these words, but look at it from God's point of view, not the enemy's, and you will see a better meaning of it. The way that husbands love wife is we give. I mean, we're covering all of that. And the way that women or wives love their husbands is respecting. It's just that easy. And that's funny too, what Paul did in Ephesians is that when he wrote to the husbands, he basically written it, like he said it 3 times about husbands, you know what I'm saying, loving their wives 3 times, and also he said to the wives submit to the husband 3 times. So kind of stretched that out for a bit, that Paul trying to make some sense here to us so we can understand it, but it's kind of cool how he did it.
The truth is never meant to hurt you, but to set you free. Sometimes it hurts because it's breaking away the lies and the deceptions that you were held hostage by. If the truth cuts, just acknowledge that it also brings healing. Remember to keep a positive attitude. I love you all.